there was also times we went without eating. But there was people that helped us. Now, I like for the people out there to write to their governors and their politicians to try to help stop this, so maybe our next president can stop, so people won't have to be begging money off the street, which I can gratefully say I never had to do that. But I also could say, Mr. Ed Rendell, I was homeless at one time also. I know people become homeless in different ways, but I was homeless for one reason. I really don't want to share that because it's personal, but I will say I did see people out there begging for money and stuff like that. So I guess I guess that's one way of saying they were poor because they were out there begging for money and begging for food. I am happy to say that I really didn't have to do that, but like I said earlier in this like I said earlier that we didn't go hungry all the time, but there was times maybe our neighbors helped us. But there is other things. I know there's other things out there today. There's food banks, and then there's on Thanksgiving turkey drives, so people can go get at least a turkey, and there's other, like for poor people to get coats for their kids. There's toy drives for people. So since I was a little girl, things have improved, so people won't be poor anymore. Well, thank you, and that was a very interesting question, Annette.
Well, I think poverty is a serious problem, and it's a sad affair. But I agree that there are ways now that people can't be so poor. Like at the holidays, they have all kinds of organizations and fundings and drives, like you said. So that's a comforting thought. Rose, what you and I said is very true, and our economy has suffered a serious crisis. What we need now in these programs is universal health care and universal education. So what do you think of those two?
Well, the education, I did talk a little bit about earlier in the interviews about, so we should have better teachers, maybe better schooling and stuff like that. But I can talk to you a little bit about the health program. I noticed where I work at, there's all, it's a senior citizen place where they live and stuff like that. And a lot of the seniors where I work have to pay for a lot of their medicines, and that's considered a copay. And if we had a better program for the health care, maybe their medicine would be free, or they wouldn't have to pay a whole lot more money. And maybe they worked, a lot of the seniors worked a long time, and I think some of the stuff that they are getting, I mean, the health insurance should be free, and they shouldn't have to pay an arm and a leg for it. I had experience because I do work with the seniors. I guess that answers the question, Annette.
Yes, that's a widespread problem. I heard about that. And that is really rough. So I'm hoping that these programs will come into effect and help those that are now facing and struggling, to get by. Rose, what do you think of this historic day, January 1st, 2009, as we are taping it?
Well, Annette, that's a very good question. Well, Happy New Year again to everybody. Yes, this is January 1st, 2009. This is my first time ever being interviewed by Annette Mendel. I enjoy being on your show today, Annette, and hopefully one of these days I'll be on again as a special guest or even in the audience.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Annette, as this is your first time, how do you feel to be the first time interviewing anybody?
It's different. It's exciting, and it's something new for me.
Well, it was also new for me, first time doing an interview, and well, I was on my brother's show in the past, but just asking questions or just saying hello to people. But now I actually had time to explain a little bit about my life and some of my interests, like my sports that I like, and I also had talk about the buses, the governor, and the President of the United States, and who I feel should be different things. I enjoy the interview very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Rose, what is the importance of family and friends? And is there anybody that you want to address on this historical day? That you want to say something to them particularly?
Well, Annette, I'm glad you asked me that question. Well, first of all, family. I like to say hi to my sister Diane, and of course my brother A.J. Torcaso. Also, my relatives, Angela Torcaso, and my other cousin, Frederick Torcaso. And I have a couple of good friends I'd like to say hi to them. Mary, for one, who's been helping me since I moved here in Duquesne. Also, a lady named Elizabeth. She also helped me. She's an older lady. I met her at another job that I had. Elizabeth, it was a helpful lady, and she also taught me some cooking skills. Mary also helped me in cooking skills, and there was other people I like to say hi to. Is my friend Donna, who I met years ago in the 70s, and a long-time friend that my sister and I, a couple of friends that my sister and I both knew when we were in school. One named Kathleen, and a gentleman named Alto. Also, I'd like to say hi to some of my old teachers if they're still alive. Well, back then we call them by their first names, like Mr. and Mrs. So Mr. Russell was one, and Miss LaSalle and Mrs. Grass was another one. I also have a couple of secondary cousins, if you will, on my uncle's side. My uncle's wife's family, my Uncle Freddie, who passed away, and his wife who passed away. I like to say hi to my aunts, nieces, and nephews, the Maisies. And thank you, Annette, for the opportunity to include my friends and my relatives in this interview.
You're welcome.